I did want to touch upon what Charles just said about like the cave, because I didn't feel cheated by it, and I know this is actually a big controversial thing. The play that focuses, and I think a lot of people are pissed that have seen the play, which is on Henry. It is basically the cave, and it gives you a lot of
Oh,
that backstory, and is canon to the show. People are pissed that that stuff didn't make it into the show, and you have to see a play. So I can
you have
kind
to
of
go to
get that.
Broadway to see it. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
but at the same time, I didn't really feel cheated that we didn't get enough of it because there was always that allegory to the cave. I think he brought it up in season 4. I can't remember the exact thing, but he was talking about, he's going on one of his classic rants of nonsense, but um, you know, the whole thing was like he was a prisoner that was so convinced of his own freedom that he basically just tried to put everyone into that. So like even though he is shown that the Mind Flayer is actually the one that did this to him and he is the first vessel, and you have Will trying to kind of almost give you that sense that Vecna is about to be on um, a return arc, maybe help them actually win. He just says, "Nah, I'm good." Like he helped me, I helped him. Like he really does think he's free and that everything he created was him, even when he's shown the truth. So I just felt like that was his, like that did actually fit his character and didn't go away from what he actually was. Like he was absolutely convinced that what he was doing wasn't just to revive this giant fucking monster. It was, it was actually really his plan all along. And, he's just that insane. He's that self-absolved,
That
and
broken.
a prisoner to himself. Even though when he's revealed to not be the puppeteer and he's the puppet, he just is like, nah, I'm actually, he refuses to believe it. Um,
You don't think that
which
takes away any of his agency though, as a character?
I, so here's my
I
point on
don't
this scene.
disagree with that, but go
It's
ahead, Moto.
I understand what Charles is saying, and I understand what you're saying. So Charles, I agree with you to the point of like you're just using this as a moment to explain something that you don't have time to explain, basically. I like the plot point of okay, the Mind Flayer is this entity. It's not just, Henry creating all these monsters and all these creatures. You're discovering that this is something else, something otherworldly. And you don't really get confirmation of that until that scene. And it literally ties the biggest point together. Why Henry has his powers and that Henry is the victim. And you're right, Charles. It does take away from Vecna's agency. I think it just it almost cuts you off at the knees. Like you're getting all this build up, and they're just like, here, there you go. Now you have an answer. There's no like there's no like build around it. It's just this is why
Yeah,
everything has happened in this entire story.
yeah, it's more
Because
just
this one little rock.
yeah, it's more just this was the twist. He's not the big bad.
Yeah.
He's
So
the
Which
I'm
also
semi
also
boss.
I'm also a little confused because Christina and I watched the entire series leading up to season 5. We rewatched the whole thing. So Henry, when 11 like blasts him through the wall and he's like flying through the void, he talks about in what I think is the best episode of the entire franchise is the reveal of who Vecna is. That episode is fantastic. But he's going through the void and then he's like wandering around, and he talks about how he sees that giant thing, and it's like the clouds that are swirling around, and then he uses his powers to make it into the form of the Mind Flayer. And he had drawn pictures of that exact thing because he was obsessed with spiders when he was a kid. So what I don't understand is there's a continuity issue here in my mind, because apparently when he was a kid, he was infected with the Mind Flayer or essence of the Mind Flayer that connected him to that, and that's what gave him his powers. But if that's the case, then why, like, when he went into the void and everything, did he basically take control of this entity and form it into the Mind Flayer?
Well,
You know what I mean? Like,
but see, I think it's revealed that he didn't. I think, because the Mind Flayer can just like 8 give you visions and all that stuff. I think it let him believe what he wanted to believe. You know what I mean? It just infected
That is a
him.
good point.
So he thinks he found this like spider-like world, but in reality, it's the Mind Flayer going like, yeah, I'm going to give you.
I need you. Yeah, I need you to make
even
this
like
something.
Pennywise, like I'm going to let you see what you want to see. And so now he truly believes that he did create the Mind Flayer, that this is all him. Meanwhile, it's just the Mind Flayer is just letting him see what he wants. I think the show could have. I think you're right, though. I think if they would have tied it into that scene in some kind of way, I think that would have had a huge impact to really drive home exactly what was happening. Because I'm actually planning on seeing the play, so I'm very curious how much real lore is in there. But apparently, it is all about Henry and the cave and high school and all that stuff. But
That's
I just think
interesting. I
that
didn't realize
if
it was
you,
canon.
I just think that if you try to handicap a villain that's been built up to be this powerful, then they need to be emotionally resonant, and they went the complete opposite direction of that. We were talking about Return of the Jedi earlier, and Darth Vader is like built up to be the ultimate badass and all this other stuff. And when he does show humanity, and when he does show, this other side of him, it is emotionally resonant, and you do end up feeling compassion for him. So the fact that they like showed this human side to Henry and showed that he, was a victim, but then he just doubles down on it, I do feel like they didn't handle that very well, because you could have just not had that at all and it wouldn't have changed anything, to be honest. You could cut out that whole sequence of like what happened to him and how it ties to his childhood, and it wouldn't change the outcome. Because if you have an event like that just in a narrative structure, uh and for anyone that doesn't know, like my education, like my background, everything is in literature and in writing. But like when you have a major event like this happen, it has to change things permanently. It has to create a metamorphosis in a character. And the best characters are ones that go through change. And the fact that you have this build up in all of this that happens, and it leads up to this explanation that we're all clamoring for, and then nothing changes, and it's just, yeah, whatever, that's that,
true,
let's
yeah,
just move on and keep fighting.
You're
I
right.
do think that
yeah,
was
you're right.
handled poorly.
That's why I feel like it's rushed. It just feels like they're just giving you this piece of information because they just need to answer it. There's
Yep.
no payoff for it. You're right. It does nothing to change the plot line whatsoever, other than like, oh shit, that's kind of interesting. Like, oh, he is a victim. Yeah, but nothing changes. He doesn't change. The story doesn't change. And you're exactly right. The outcome does not change. And you created this whole thing of, well, he can't enter the cave. The cave is now a tool for the characters to use within the story itself. And you're thinking it's going to be this supernatural, like some kind of tie to him. And it is, but it doesn't do anything. It was just, I feel like it's just a writing excuse to put something there to have the reason why the villain can't hurt the kids. Like like you have to have some kind of story element in place to keep those kids safe, and this was their use of that, and then
And
they're
so you
trying to
travel
just
to
like
Broadway
explain it away.
and see the play.
Yeah, that's
what
it. Go travel
that's
abroad.
that's the real hook.
That's the real hook.
I'm surprised the show didn't end with
Yep.
that. Buy tickets now.
Get discount tickets for watching this day one.
Just